Hello everyone, this is Qais Ghanem. I'm doing the interviews for Aden College website as usual, and we've done about a dozen of those, and today I'm very lucky to have a guest I've known for several years, an alumnus of Aden College, and this is Mr. Hussain Sultan. So welcome to the interview, Hussain.
Thank you, Qais.
Great. We are sitting here in Dubai, in fact, and I tracked down Hussain, and he's kindly agreed to do this interview. So let's go back to Aden College then. What year did you join Aden College?
Oh, it's a long time ago.
All right.
It's, Aden College in the 50s and 60s was one of the best colleges in the region.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was really one of the few in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Aden College probably for the whole of the 50s, because I left Aden College around 1957 when I went to the UK.
Yes, so 57, was that the end of A levels or O levels?
No, in fact, I was with other five colleagues as the first class that did the A levels.
The A levels, okay.
Because they were planning to start the A level classes, and as actually we were about to board the ship to go to Britain to study, they told us, sorry, there's been a change in the plans, and now we will not be traveling to the UK to do your A levels. You will sit again in the college to do 2 years, and that's how I did the first batch of students to actually pass the A level, the General Certificate of Education A levels.
And you did the science part, right?
I did science part because I was planning to do engineering. And I did pure maths, applied maths, physics, chemistry, and having passed those four, I was a bit late to go to university, and I went and did work for a year in London with a civil engineering firm in order to get some training, which is a great thing, because while we were, brilliant as far as the in the academy, as academics and in the subjects, the theory of all of these science subjects, but there was very little engineering in Aden to learn from. And it was a good year, I think, before I went to university. In fact, I chose Glasgow University out of all universities in the UK because it was the only university that did an honours BSc course at that time. They call it a sandwich course, where you have to spend 6 months in the university, do your degree exams, and then you have to work with an engineering firm for 6 months. Instead of 3 years, it was a 4-year BSc degree.
Yeah. Okay, and that was in 58, I take it, that you joined the university?
Yeah, 59, and 63 is when I was qualified. And then I had to do my, as an apprentice, or the training.
Yes.
Because as an engineer, to qualify as a chartered civil engineer, you've got to spend a number of years, although by that time I've already spent over nearly 2.5 years working with an engineering firm, but they wanted some more. So I spent 2.5 years articled to an engineering firm, and there not only I had to work on site for a year, but I had also to train in the design sections. And after that, I sat for my exams with the Institute Institute of Civil Engineers, to get my professional qualifications, which is the MIC, member of the Institute of Civil Engineers. And,
Well, I happened to be in Edinburgh, and I came to visit you to Glasgow. Do you remember that? I think you were in the second year or something like that.
In fact, we used to look upon you guys in Edinburgh as, upper class and everything else. Or at least you used to look at us, the students of Glasgow, as, from a rough city like Glasgow. And Glasgow in those days was really a rough industrial city.
Do you remember any other students from Aden College who also did engineering that year?
Engineering that year, I think Jamal Abdul Hamid
Yes.
was the only thing.
Yes.
Abdul
And
Qadr-
he's in London now, right?
he's London.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually living in the UK. He's
Yeah.
retired now. He's also a chartered civil engineer like myself,
Yes.
and he's now in the UK with his family. He's retired.
Yes, and I interviewed him for Aden College website.
That's
Yeah.
great. And Abdul Qadir Fadli did architecture at that time, but the others did various other things.
Mhm. All right, so you left Glasgow with all these wonderful degrees and so on, and what happened after that? Where did you go to?
I joined Caltex.
Mhm.
Initially, I joined Caltex as an engineer, but very soon, actually, I was lucky because they immediately thought I was good management material, and they fast-tracked my development in the company. And because and I did prove to them that really I could be very useful to them because I started Caltex in Dubai.
Mhm.
I did a survey, immediately I came after 68, I did a survey, and because Bahrain, Caltex at that time were only represented in Bahrain through their partnership in Babco, the refinery in Bahrain, but they didn't have any facilities or any marketing in those days. It used to be called the Trucial States. It
Mhm.
wasn't even the UAE. So 68 I did the survey, and 69 I started the construction of not only terminals, service stations and facilities for the marketing of petroleum products for Caltex. From that I went to Abu Dhabi 70 to 73.
How long did you stay with Caltex?
I had nearly 10 years with Caltex, and
Mm.
because I also trained with them every year all over the world, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. And I went to University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Business through Caltex as well,
Yes.
until His Highness Sheikh Rashid, who I developed a really personal relationship with His Highness, who
Mhm.
was at that time really the most active person in the area here as the ruler of Dubai.
Yes.
Very wise and a very great entrepreneur. And he asked me, after all these years, he saw me how I built the service stations here in Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi also built stations, a terminal. And he said, why don't you do something for your own country here in the UAE? The UAE, of course, was formed in 71,
Mhm.
but the boom came to Dubai in 73 when the oil price shot up.
Mhm.
So there was plenty of oil wealth and oil money coming in. Dubai had a bit of the infrastructure ahead of everyone else. They had, at that time, Mina Rashid opening, the airport was active, and therefore it took a leading, I think, role in the development of the entire area. But the first thing he said to me, by the end of 74, he said, we need gas, we don't have gas.
Mhm.
So many people in Dubai, we didn't have even the gas cylinders. They used to take them by launch to Bahrain or to Saudi to fill them up and bring them up.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
during the rough weather, like these days,
Mm.
the Dows won't even leave the... So he said, we're running out of gas, no gas, the people are complaining. So I said, okay. And that's how I started the first company for His Highness, which
Mm.
is Emirates Gas.
Yes.
So I went to Bahrain to the refinery and I said, can you supply me pressurized gas? They said, oh, we don't have a dock line. I said, come on now, it won't cost much. And eventually, a dock line was built. I bought first one ship and then two ships, proper LPG carriers, and I built the first facility on the creek here, a gas bulk bottling plant, and then from the end of 74 to 1982, it was the only facility that supplied gas to the entire UAE and the Sultanate of Oman. So you can imagine, I started with no money, with an overdraft from the National Bank of Dubai, but made a lot of money selling gas. Then I started Sealing Gas, which is a manufacturing facility, manufactures not only the cylinders, pressure vessels, petroleum storage tanks, and I formed the shipping company to own these ships. And then in 1980 I started EBCO, which was, as you know, I started with 140 service stations in 2 years, which was a record by any standards.
Mhm.
It was, Dubai has always, the whole UAE in fact, but Dubai in particular, has been going through boom years ever since the 60s. It's been non-stop construction, non-stop development, because By the early 90s, then I formed the holding company for all these, which I called it because I had EPCO, Emirates Petroleum Products Company, EPPCO. I didn't want to change the name. Actually, the EPCO itself was EBBC, Emirates Bunkering and Bitumen, the first name. Then when I opened the service station, I didn't want, I said, forget the bitumen and the bunkering. Let me now make it as a petroleum, all products. So I put EPPCO, Emirates Petroleum Products Company. In Arabic, EPCO is the same.
Yes.
So that was EPCO.
That was smart, yeah.
Yeah, and then 1990, I formed the holding company, which is the ENOC, the Emirates National Oil Company. So I put these four in this holding company, and from then we started. What a growth! Because I wanted to be in everything. We started to look at a refinery, and I actually built, not I, but ENOC, I was the group CEO for ENOC. We built the first refinery in Jabal Ali, a condensate refinery. We started oil trading. We went into a big way in building storage tanks for independent users, and we started to become a global company. I started trading in the first national oil company to be an approved oil trader. The office in Singapore in the 90s. And then the storage tanks, we started formed the company Horizon Terminals Limited. And because I already had a lot of storage in Jabal Ali, I thought of Fujairah. So we started a major terminal, which is probably one of the largest in the world now, over 2 million cubic meters of storage. Then I looked at Djibouti, we did storage in Djibouti, I did storage in Singapore, in South Korea, Morocco. So the group then started to grow. And then in 1999, I said, listen, I'm a major downstream oil company, but I have nothing upstream. Upstream is exploration and production. So I had no crude oil. So I immediately thought of getting into that business, the upstream business. And by chance, I saw a bankrupt company that had oil production in Turkmenistan. I didn't even know where Turkmenistan was, except that it was in the Caspian Sea. So I bought a majority interest and borrowed the money.
Did you go there to Turkmenistan?
Well, after I bought the company, after I bought nearly 68% of the company for about $70 million. And then, because once I became, this is a public company, by the way, it's an Irish domiciled company, listed on the London and Dublin Stock Exchange. So once I got into that upstream business, I began to learn more and more about the oil business. And believe me, Qais, the upstream business is even more interesting and more exciting than the downstream business.
Okay.
And therefore, but my dream was fulfilled in the sense that ENOC became a fully integrated oil company. It didn't do one thing, it did upstream and downstream.
Yeah, it was self-contained in a way.
Absolutely.
Yes, everything was there.
And that was my happiest until in 2008 when I decided it was time to call it quits.
So are you retired now?
No, I'm not retired. I think for me retirement is death. But I wanted to do some things for myself and my family. Because all these years I've been really working very hard. I've learned a great deal. You learn from people, you learn from colleagues. And I said, let me now, this is a chance now for others to take on the ENOC into hopefully greater heights. And I said, let me do now things on my own that I enjoy. And therefore, ever since I left the first year, I formed my own holding company, Riverside Investments, for my family. And then I started forming new companies, some of them in the oil business, some of them outside the oil business. I formed, for example, I'm a partner in Neptune Energy Trading Company. I'm a partner in Dominion Petro Services Company.
So, Hussein, now in this situation, you've told us all these wonderful things that you've done all these years. You're taking it easy, I understand, relatively speaking to what you were doing before. What are your current interests now that you are kind of semi-retired?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I consider myself retired. And I'm doing even more things than before, but at least I have no tension. And I do the things I enjoy doing, seriously. And I travel a great deal. I travel quite a lot, actually. I am on the board of a few companies, whether it's as Deputy Chairman of Dubai Investments here in Dubai, or on the board of companies like, abroad, which is IFAN or Minas, or I'm on the board of a few companies. I travel a lot. I still keep in touch with the oil and gas business. I attend conferences. I chair a few sessions. So because I want to keep myself abreast of the business and to really know what's happening. So I have other companies as well, smaller companies that in the service industry. So with all these companies and also trying to develop a business for my family, it's kept me really busy in every respect.
Okay, so when is your next trip out of the
next
country?
trip actually is on next Tuesday.
Okay, and
I'm off to Australia and New Zealand.
Australia and New
for about
Zealand.
10 days, yeah.
Okay, well, I've been to New Zealand. It's a beautiful country, so I hope you enjoy it. I know that you've been there before. And I just want finally to thank you very much, Hussain, for taking the time to talk to Aden College alumni about your life in the past 40 to 50 years.
It's been
Thank you.
exciting. If anybody asked me how would you like, if you had another life, how would you like to? I said exactly the same. I've enjoyed every bit of my life.
Wow, that's a great way to finish this. Thank you.